By 2011, Osama bin Laden had become one of the most wanted men in the world, yet his influence remained formidable. Despite years of pursuit by U.S. and allied intelligence agencies, he continued to operate with careful secrecy in remote areas along the Afghanistan-Pakistan border. His ability to evade detection was rooted in meticulous operational planning, strict discipline among his followers, and reliance on loyal intermediaries to communicate instructions and maintain organizational continuity. The global counterterrorism effort had intensified, with drones, special forces, and intelligence networks constantly tracking Al-Qaeda's activities. Osama understood the increasing risks, and he implemented extreme security measures. Safe houses were rotated frequently, communications were minimized and encrypted, and trusted lieutenants were given authority to act autonomously in regional cells. This decentralized structure made it increasingly difficult for intelligence agencies to locate him or dismantle the organization entirely. Despite the heightened danger, Osama remained deeply involved in strategic planning. He emphasized the importance of maintaining Al-Qaeda's ideological mission, ensuring that every cell understood the spiritual and political rationale behind their actions. Training programs continued in secret, producing highly skilled operatives capable of executing complex missions. Each new recruit was carefully vetted, indoctrinated in Al-Qaeda's ideology, and trained to operate independently while remaining loyal to Osama's vision. Osama also continued to communicate with the global Muslim community. Videos, letters, and statements were released strategically to inspire followers, condemn Western policies, and encourage acts of resistance. These messages were carefully timed and designed to maximize psychological impact, reinforcing the perception of Osama as a resolute and enduring leader despite being in hiding. His communication emphasized patience, discipline, and unwavering commitment to the cause, instilling a sense of purpose among supporters and operatives worldwide. Financial networks remained a critical element of Al-Qaeda's operations. Osama oversaw funding channels that relied on donations, informal business networks, and charitable organizations. Funds were directed toward training, logistical support, and operational planning. This financial autonomy allowed Al-Qaeda to continue functioning even as international authorities sought to freeze assets and disrupt funding. Osama's careful control ensured that resources were efficiently allocated and protected from detection. Throughout this period, Al-Qaeda continued to conduct attacks globally, often in regions of instability where Western influence was present. Each operation reinforced the organization's reach, tested operational tactics, and provided practical experience for new operatives. Osama's insistence on operational excellence combined with ideological education ensured that Al-Qaeda's network remained effective, adaptable, and committed to its global mission. In early 2011, intelligence reports suggested that Osama was hiding in Abu Dhabi, Pakistan. The compound where he was believed to be staying was heavily fortified, reflecting his extreme caution and awareness of the risks. Despite being in hiding, he continued to issue strategic guidance to regional cells, emphasizing both operational security and adherence to ideological principles. His focus remained on long-term goals, sustaining Al-Qaeda's influence, and preparing the next generation of leaders to continue the mission. The U.S. intelligence community, after years of pursuit, meticulously planned a targeted operation to capture or kill Osama bin Laden. Operation Neptune Spear, carried out by Navy SEALs in May 2011, aimed to eliminate the central figure of Al-Qaeda. The operation required precise intelligence, careful planning, and flawless execution. Osama's compound was under constant surveillance, and every detail was analyzed to ensure a successful outcome while minimizing risks to U.S. forces. On May 2, 2011, Osama bin Laden was killed during the raid in Abu Dhabi. His death marked a significant moment in global counterterrorism efforts, yet the ideological and organizational legacy he had established endured. Al-Qaeda had been transformed under his leadership into a decentralized, resilient, and ideologically cohesive network capable of operating internationally. Osama's influence continued to inspire followers, guide operations, and shape the strategic thinking of jihadist organizations even after his death. The aftermath of his death highlighted both the power of his leadership and the enduring challenge posed by Al-Qaeda. While the organization lost its central figure, Osama had created a structure and ideology that could survive his absence. Regional leaders continued operations, cells remained active, and recruitment persisted. His teachings, statements, and organizational methods ensured that Al-Qaeda's mission and vision would continue to influence global terrorism. Osama's death also prompted reflections on his life, strategies, and impact. He had transformed from a regional militant in Afghanistan to the leader of a global jihadist movement. His ability to combine ideological motivation with organizational acumen enabled Al-Qaeda to conduct complex operations, inspire global followers, and challenge the world's most powerful nations. The legacy of his leadership demonstrated the long-term influence one individual could have on international security, politics, and global conflict. By 2011, it was clear that Osama bin Laden's impact extended far beyond his physical presence. His ideology, training methods, organizational strategies, and global network had left an indelible mark. Governments worldwide recognized that the battle against terrorism was not merely a pursuit of a single individual but a challenge posed by an enduring ideology and a resilient organizational model. Osama's life illustrated how vision, strategy, and operational skill could transform an idea into a transnational movement with long-lasting consequences. Even after his death, the principles he had established continued to guide Al-Qaeda. The organization adapted to new threats, exploited regional conflicts, and maintained recruitment and training networks. Osama's strategic foresight ensured that Al-Qaeda remained a persistent threat, capable of influencing global events, inspiring followers, and challenging international security frameworks. His life and leadership provided both lessons and warnings about the power of ideology, organization, and strategic vision in shaping global affairs. After the death of Osama bin Laden in May 2011, the global security landscape faced a significant turning point. Although his physical presence was removed, the ideology he propagated and the network he had built continued to operate across multiple continents. Al-Qaeda's decentralized structure allowed it to remain active, and Osama's strategic foresight ensured that regional cells could continue functioning independently, maintaining both operational capability and ideological cohesion. The leadership transition within Al-Qaeda was a critical phase. Osama had already prepared successors by mentoring key operatives capable of overseeing global operations. This succession planning ensured continuity, with new leaders assuming responsibility for regional operations while maintaining loyalty to the broader mission. These leaders adhered closely to Osama's ideological framework, emphasizing jihad, resistance to Western influence, and the defense of Muslim lands. Despite Osama's death, Al-Qaeda continued to exploit regional conflicts to strengthen its presence. In North Africa, the Middle East, South Asia, and parts of Southeast Asia, the organization leveraged political instability, weak governance, and local grievances to establish operational footholds. These strategic expansions allowed Al-Qaeda to maintain relevance and influence, demonstrating that Osama's planning had created a resilient and adaptable network. The post-Osama period also highlighted the enduring power of his ideology. His speeches, writings, and recorded statements continued to circulate online, influencing new recruits and providing guidance to regional leaders. The messages reinforced the narrative that jihad was a global struggle, and that individual operatives and local cells had a role to play in achieving the broader objectives of Al-Qaeda. This ideological continuity helped sustain the organization's activities despite the loss of its founder. Globally, counterterrorism operations intensified following Osama's death. Drone strikes, intelligence operations, and military campaigns aimed to disrupt Al-Qaeda's leadership and weaken its operational capabilities. However, Osama's decentralized model and careful compartmentalization allowed the organization to adapt. Regional leaders were empowered to make strategic decisions locally, reducing dependency on central coordination and ensuring operational resilience in the face of sustained pressure. Osama's legacy also had a profound psychological impact. For followers and sympathizers, his life and martyrdom became symbolic of dedication to the cause. The narrative of his leadership, struggle, and eventual death reinforced the perceived legitimacy of Al-Qaeda's mission. His ability to inspire unwavering loyalty among followers demonstrated the enduring influence of his ideology and strategic planning. Even after 2011, Al-Qaeda remained capable of conducting significant operations. The organization's cells executed attacks, coordinated logistics, and recruited operatives across multiple regions. These actions reflected the effectiveness of the training programs Osama had established, the financial networks he had developed, and the strategic foresight he had instilled in his leadership. The resilience of the organization highlighted the long-term impact of Osama's methods. Osama's emphasis on ideological indoctrination ensured that Al-Qaeda's operations were not only militarily effective but also motivated by a coherent worldview. Each operative understood the religious and political rationale behind their actions, which reinforced discipline, commitment, and strategic focus. This approach distinguished Al-Qaeda from many other militant groups, giving it a unique capacity to sustain operations over time and across diverse geographic regions. The post-Osama era also revealed the complexity of counterterrorism challenges. Governments faced the dual task of dismantling operational networks while addressing the ideological appeal that Osama had cultivated. His teachings, recorded statements, and strategic guidance remained accessible globally, enabling new generations of extremists to adopt his methods and principles. This highlighted the enduring nature of his influence and the difficulty of eradicating the ideology even after the leader's death. Osama bin Laden's impact on global jihadist movements extended far beyond his direct leadership. By creating a decentralized, ideologically cohesive, and operationally capable network, he set the template for future terrorist organizations. His model emphasized strategic patience, careful planning, financial management, and ideological indoctrination, demonstrating that the strength of a non-state actor could rival that of conventional military powers under certain conditions. In the years following his death, Al-Qaeda continued to operate in areas of instability, adapting to changing circumstances while maintaining its core mission. Osama's strategic principles guided both operational and ideological decision-making, ensuring the organization's resilience and continuity. His ability to create a self-sustaining network capable of operating independently in multiple regions reflected his profound understanding of organizational dynamics and long-term strategy. Furthermore, Osama's legacy influenced other extremist groups beyond Al-Qaeda. His methods, organizational principles, and ideological messaging served as a blueprint for aspiring jihadist movements worldwide. Groups inspired by Al-Qaeda sought to replicate its decentralized operational model, training methods, and propaganda strategies. This demonstrated that Osama's influence extended far beyond the immediate boundaries of his organization, shaping the broader landscape of global terrorism. Even as counter-terrorism efforts intensified globally, Osama's strategic foresight allowed Al-Qaeda to survive and adapt. Regional cells became increasingly autonomous, communications remained secure, and recruitment efforts continued in areas of instability. The principles he instilled ensured that Al-Qaeda remained relevant, capable of challenging local and global adversaries, and maintaining ideological cohesion across diverse regions. By the mid-2010s, it became evident that Osama bin Laden's impact was enduring. While the physical threat of his presence had been removed, the operational capabilities, ideological framework, and global network he established continued to influence international security. Governments faced ongoing challenges in countering a dispersed, adaptable, and ideologically motivated organization capable of operating across multiple continents. Osama bin Laden's life and legacy demonstrated the profound influence of strategic vision, organizational skill, and ideological commitment. He transformed a regional militant into a global symbol of jihad, creating a network capable of surviving extreme pressures and sustaining operations across decades. His methods highlighted the power of combining ideology, training, financial planning, and leadership to achieve long-term objectives, even against the most powerful international actors. The enduring influence of Osama bin Laden serves as both a historical lesson and a cautionary example. While his death marked the end of his direct leadership, the structures, strategies, and ideology he created ensured that Al-Qaeda and its affiliates remained a persistent force. His vision, execution, and ability to inspire loyalty ensured that his impact on global terrorism would be felt for years to come. After the death of Osama bin Laden, Al-Qaeda faced the challenge of operating without its central figure. However, the network's decentralized structure, ideological cohesion, and strategic planning allowed it to remain active and resilient. Regional leaders assumed responsibility for operations, maintaining the operational integrity and ideological vision that Osama had instilled. His teachings and guidance continued to influence decision-making, recruitment, and strategic objectives across multiple continents. Al-Qaeda expanded its presence in regions experiencing instability, conflict, and weak governance. The organization capitalized on these conditions to recruit members, establish operational cells, and build logistical networks. Osama's emphasis on local autonomy, combined with global coordination, allowed Al-Qaeda to adapt to changing circumstances while maintaining a coherent strategic vision. The organization remained capable of conducting both small-scale attacks and high-profile operations, reinforcing its global reach. The ideological framework that Osama had developed continued to guide Al-Qaeda's operations. Videos, writings, and recorded statements circulated widely, inspiring new recruits and reinforcing loyalty among existing operatives. The narrative emphasized jihad, resistance to Western influence, and the defense of Muslim lands. This ideological continuity ensured that Al-Qaeda maintained its purpose and cohesion, even in the absence of its founder. Global counterterrorism efforts intensified after Osama's death. Intelligence agencies, drone strikes, and military operations targeted key leaders, operational hubs, and funding networks. Despite these efforts, Al-Qaeda remained operational due to its decentralized nature and the strategic foresight embedded in its organizational design. Osama's approach had created a self-sustaining network capable of adapting to external pressures while continuing its mission. Osama's legacy influenced not only Al-Qaeda, but also other extremist groups worldwide. His methods, strategic planning, and ideological messaging served as a model for aspiring jihadist organizations. Groups inspired by his leadership adopted decentralized structures, rigorous training programs, and sophisticated propaganda strategies. This extended Osama's impact beyond his immediate organization, shaping the tactics, ideology, and operational philosophy of global jihadist movements. Financially, Al-Qaeda maintained complex networks for sustaining operations. Funds were routed through charitable organizations, front businesses, and informal networks, providing resources for recruitment, training, and operational activities. Osama's principles of financial management ensured that resources were efficiently allocated and protected from disruption. This financial resilience allowed the organization to remain operational despite significant international efforts to freeze assets and dismantle funding channels. Throughout the 2010s, Al-Qaeda conducted a variety of operations across multiple regions. The organization executed attacks in the Middle East, North Africa, South Asia, and parts of Europe, demonstrating its global reach. These operations reflected the operational training, planning, and ideological indoctrination Osama had established. His focus on creating highly skilled, ideologically committed operatives ensured that the network could continue functioning effectively despite leadership losses and external pressures. Al-Qaeda's strategic approach emphasized patience, adaptability, and ideological commitment. Regional leaders were empowered to make tactical decisions independently, while overarching guidance ensured alignment with the global mission. Osama's foresight in building a decentralized, resilient structure allowed the organization to persist and maintain influence across multiple conflict zones. This operational flexibility became a defining characteristic of Al-Qaeda in the post-Osama era. Propaganda remained a critical element of Al-Qaeda's strategy. Osama's writings, videos, and recorded speeches continued to be used to recruit, motivate, and direct followers. The ideological narrative framed global jihad as both a religious obligation and a political struggle, reinforcing the sense of purpose among operatives. The careful use of media allowed Al-Qaeda to project strength and continuity, even when facing significant operational and strategic challenges. Despite the loss of Osama as a physical leader, his organizational model and ideological framework allowed Al-Qaeda to remain a persistent threat. The combination of decentralized operations, ideological indoctrination, and strategic foresight ensured that the network could survive, adapt, and continue recruiting and conducting attacks. This resilience reflected the effectiveness of the leadership and planning that Osama had implemented during his life. By the mid-2010s, Al-Qaeda had demonstrated that the removal of a single leader, even one as influential as Osama bin Laden, did not eliminate the organization. Its decentralized structure, ideological commitment, and operational experience enabled it to continue functioning across multiple regions. Osama's strategic vision had created a self-sustaining organization capable of adapting to external pressures while maintaining its core mission. Al-Qaeda's continued activity highlighted the enduring relevance of Osama bin Laden's methods. His combination of ideological indoctrination, operational planning, financial management, and leadership had established a framework that could withstand significant challenges. The organization's persistence underscored the long-term impact of his strategic foresight and the enduring influence of his ideology. Even as counterterrorism operations intensified globally, Al-Qaeda's network remained resilient. The principles Osama had instilled, decentralization, ideological cohesion, operational security, and adaptability ensured that the organization could continue to operate, recruit, and execute attacks. His legacy provided a blueprint for sustaining a global jihadist movement, demonstrating the power of strategic vision combined with disciplined execution. By the late 2010s, Osama bin Laden's impact was still evident in global terrorism. His organizational and ideological contributions continued to shape Al-Qaeda's operations, influence new extremist groups, and guide the strategic thinking of regional leaders. The network's ability to endure demonstrated the long-term effectiveness of his leadership and the lasting significance of the structures he had created. The enduring influence of Osama bin Laden extended beyond operational achievements. He had created a comprehensive framework for global jihad, combining ideological messaging, operational planning, financial networks, and leadership principles. This framework ensured that even after his death, Al-Qaeda remained capable of challenging international security, inspiring followers, and conducting operations across multiple continents. Al-Qaeda had evolved into a more dispersed and adaptive organization, yet the legacy of Osama bin Laden remained central to its identity. The decentralized structure he had established allowed regional leaders to operate independently while adhering to the overarching ideological and strategic vision. His teachings continued to guide the organization's operations, recruitment, and propaganda, ensuring that Al-Qaeda remained a formidable presence despite the absence of its founder. Osama's ideological framework emphasized jihad, resistance to Western influence, and the defense of Muslim lands. This narrative continued to resonate with recruits, providing both motivation and justification for their actions. Al-Qaeda's global network, influenced by his strategic guidance, was able to exploit local conflicts, political instability, and weak governance in regions such as the Middle East, North Africa, and South Asia. By leveraging these conditions, the organization maintained operational capabilities and continued to pose a security threat internationally. The financial networks Osama had established remained active and resilient. Funds flowed through charitable organizations, front businesses, and informal channels, supporting training, logistics, and operational planning. His emphasis on careful financial management ensured that resources were allocated effectively while minimizing exposure to counterterrorism efforts. This financial autonomy allowed Al-Qaeda to sustain long-term operations and maintain influence across multiple regions. Even without Osama's direct leadership, Al-Qaeda continued to conduct attacks and plan operations globally. Regional cells were trained to operate independently while remaining aligned with the ideological vision Osama had instilled. His insistence on decentralized decision-making allowed the organization to adapt quickly to new threats, respond to changing conditions, and maintain operational continuity despite international pressure. Propaganda continued to be a core element of Al-Qaeda's strategy. Osama's speeches, writings, and recorded statements were still circulated widely, providing guidance, inspiration, and validation for followers. The organization used these materials to recruit motivatic operatives and project influence globally. This ideological continuity reinforced the organization's identity and ensured that Osama's vision remained central to Al-Qaeda's mission. Global counterterrorism operations continued to target Al-Qaeda's leadership, infrastructure, and networks. Drone strikes, intelligence operations, and military campaigns sought to disrupt the organization's capabilities and reduce its influence. However, the resilience of Al-Qaeda's decentralized model, combined with the ideological and operational foundations laid by Osama, allowed it to persist. Regional leaders exercised autonomy, cells remained operational, and recruitment and training continued, demonstrating the enduring effectiveness of Osama's organizational strategy. Osama bin Laden's influence extended beyond Al-Qaeda itself. Other extremist groups adopted his methods, organizational principles, and strategic vision. His approach to decentralization, financial management, operational planning, and ideological indoctrination served as a model for transnational jihadist movements. Even after his death, his principles continued to shape the tactics, structure, and strategy of global terrorism. By the mid-2020s, the enduring impact of Osama's leadership was evident. Al-Qaeda's network remained active, capable of executing operations, recruiting followers, and maintaining influence in regions of instability. The organization's resilience demonstrated the long-term effectiveness of Osama's strategies, highlighting the importance of ideology, operational autonomy, and strategic foresight in sustaining a global movement. Osama's legacy also had a profound psychological impact. He became a symbol of dedication, resistance, and strategic vision for followers. The narrative of his life, leadership, and death inspired continued loyalty, reinforced ideological commitment, and provided a blueprint for sustaining operations over time. This enduring influence illustrated that the power of a visionary leader could persist even in the absence of direct involvement. Even in the face of continued counterterrorism efforts, Al-Qaeda maintained operational capacity and influence. Regional cells executed attacks, trained new operatives, and coordinated activities across borders. The organization's structure, rooted in the principles Osama had established, enabled it to survive losses, adapt to changing circumstances, and maintain cohesion. His emphasis on ideological education, operational training, and financial independence ensured that Al-Qaeda remained a persistent and adaptable threat. The global security community recognized the enduring challenge posed by Al-Qaeda, while the death of Osama bin Laden had removed a central figure. The organization's decentralized structure, strategic planning, and ideological cohesion allowed it to continue operations. Governments and security agencies faced a dual task of addressing both operational threats and the ideological appeal that Osama had cultivated. This highlighted the long-term implications of his leadership and the difficulty of eradicating an entrenched ideological movement. Osama's impact on global jihadist movements remained evident in both tactics and organizational structure. His approach combined strategic patience, operational security, financial management, and ideological indoctrination, creating a model capable of surviving sustained counterterrorism efforts. Al-Qaeda's continued presence and influence demonstrated the durability of the organizational and ideological foundations he had established. By the late 2020s, Osama bin Laden's influence had permeated multiple generations of jihadist operatives. The organizational principles, training methods, and ideological framework he developed continued to guide decision-making, operations, and recruitment across the globe. Al-Qaeda's persistence underscored the enduring relevance of his strategies and the long-lasting impact of his leadership on global security. Osama's life and legacy illustrated the power of combining visionary leadership, ideological influence, and meticulous organizational planning. Through decades of strategic foresight, he transformed a regional militant movement into a transnational organization capable of operating independently, inspiring followers worldwide and challenging powerful international actors. His influence persisted long after his death, shaping the trajectory of global terrorism and the strategies employed to combat it. The story of Osama bin Laden demonstrates that the impact of a single individual can extend far beyond their physical presence. Through ideology, leadership, and organizational skill, he created a network that continues to influence global security dynamics, inspire followers, and challenge conventional approaches to counterterrorism. His legacy serves as both a historical record and a cautionary example of the enduring power of vision combined with execution. By the late 2020s and into the early 2030s, the legacy of Osama bin Laden continued to shape global terrorism and security dynamics. His death in 2011 had removed the physical leader of Al-Qaeda, but the ideological, operational, and organizational foundations he had laid ensured the survival and continued activity of the organization. Al-Qaeda's decentralized structure allowed regional leaders to act independently while remaining aligned with the strategic and ideological vision Osama had created. This autonomy ensured that operations could continue despite leadership disruptions, intelligence efforts, or military pressure. Al-Qaeda continued to exploit regions of instability, leveraging political chaos, weak governance, and conflict zones to expand its influence. From the Middle East to Africa, South Asia, and beyond, the organization maintained a presence, training operatives, recruiting followers, and conducting operations. Osama's emphasis on ideological indoctrination ensured that each operative understood the broader mission, reinforcing loyalty, discipline, and operational focus. His vision had created a network capable of self-sustaining growth and strategic resilience. Financial networks that Osama had developed continued to operate effectively. Charitable fronts, informal business channels, and international donations provided the resources necessary to sustain operations. The financial independence of the organization allowed it to continue training, planning, and executing operations globally, even under intense international scrutiny. Osama's careful management of these resources during his life had created a durable framework that endured long after his death. Propaganda remained a central tool for Al-Qaeda's global influence. Osama's speeches, writings, and recorded messages were still circulated widely, reinforcing ideology, inspiring new recruits, and guiding operational strategy. The narratives emphasized jihad, the defense of Muslim lands, and resistance to Western influence. Even without his direct presence, these messages allowed Al-Qaeda to maintain cohesion and inspire global followers, illustrating the enduring power of his ideological guidance. Throughout the 2020s, Al-Qaeda continued to conduct operations across multiple regions. Regional cells executed attacks, coordinated logistics, and expanded networks, reflecting the training, operational discipline, and ideological grounding that Osama had instilled. His methods ensured that even in the absence of central leadership, the organization remained capable of pursuing complex strategic objectives. The decentralized model allowed local leaders to adapt tactics while preserving alignment with the broader goals, demonstrating the foresight of Osama's organizational design. The resilience of Al-Qaeda in the post-Osama era highlighted the effectiveness of his leadership and strategic planning. By combining ideological motivation, operational training, financial management, and decentralized coordination, he had created an organization capable of surviving the loss of its founder and continuing to operate globally. This resilience posed significant challenges to international security and counterterrorism efforts, which now had to contend not only with the organization's operational capacity but also with the enduring appeal of its ideology. Osama's influence extended beyond Al-Qaeda to shape the broader landscape of global jihadist movements. Groups worldwide adopted his methods, organizational strategies, and ideological messaging, demonstrating the far-reaching impact of his leadership. His model of decentralized operations, combined with ideological indoctrination and strategic foresight, provided a blueprint for sustaining militant networks over decades. The legacy of his leadership influenced the tactics, structure, and strategic thinking of multiple organizations beyond Al-Qaeda itself. As the world adapted to the continuing threat of global terrorism, Osama's enduring influence became evident in both operational and ideological terms. The persistence of Al-Qaeda highlighted the long-term consequences of his strategies, demonstrating how vision, planning, and ideological cohesion could create a self-sustaining organization, even in the face of advanced counterterrorism technology, intelligence operations, and international coordination. The principles he instilled ensured that the organization could survive, adapt, and continue its mission. By the mid-2030s, Osama bin Laden's impact on global security was undeniable. His life had transformed Al-Qaeda from a regional militant group into a transnational network capable of inspiring, organizing, and directing operations across continents. His strategic foresight, combined with his ability to instill ideological commitment and operational discipline, allowed the organization to persist despite extraordinary international pressure. His legacy had become a central case study in understanding modern non-state actors, global terrorism, and the enduring influence of ideology on organizational behavior. The enduring relevance of Osama's teachings underscored the importance of ideology in sustaining a movement. His principles guided Al-Qaeda's operational decisions, informed strategic adaptations, and ensured ideological cohesion across generations of operatives. The organization's continued activity decades after his death demonstrated the effectiveness of his approach to leadership, decentralization, and long-term strategic planning. Osama had created more than a network. He had created a model for transnational insurgency, capable of influencing global security for decades. Osama's influence also posed profound challenges to global counterterrorism efforts. Governments faced the dual problem of dismantling operational networks while addressing the ideological narratives that motivated recruitment and sustained loyalty. Osama's legacy highlighted that removing a leader does not necessarily eliminate an organization, particularly when it is built on decentralized operations, ideological commitment, and institutionalized practices that outlast individual figures. The story of Osama bin Laden is a testament to the enduring power of vision, ideology, and organizational skill. Through decades of strategic foresight, careful planning, and ideological leadership, he transformed a small militant movement into a globally influential organization capable of operating independently, inspiring followers worldwide, and challenging powerful nations. His impact on global terrorism and international security continues to be felt decades after his death, illustrating the profound consequences of combining leadership, strategy, and ideology. In conclusion, Osama bin Laden's life and legacy demonstrate how one individual's vision, organizational acumen, and ideological commitment can create lasting influence on a global scale. Al-Qaeda's survival, adaptation, and continued activity long after his death reflect the enduring effectiveness of his strategies. His leadership transformed the dynamics of global terrorism, established a blueprint for decentralized militant networks, and left an indelible mark on the history of international security. Osama bin Laden remains a central figure in understanding the evolution, persistence, and challenges of transnational jihadist movements, highlighting the power of ideology, leadership, and strategy in shaping world events.